welcome to the warm-up. I'm Stu Wakeford. This is it, no place to hide now. It's win or bust, but this is why we love football, isn't it? The big matches, and tomorrow is absolutely massive. Plus, we'll all be together, which is a beautiful thing. And together with me now, as always, is the ambassador Marcus Gale and Brentford women's gaffer, Karleigh Osborne. How are you, lads?
All good, man.
Very
Pumped.
good, very good. Excited. Yeah, I was going to say excited.
How much of your day is spent thinking about this game?
All day.
I don't think I'm going to sleep.
Yeah.
I feel that excited, but encouraged with it as well.
You coping?
Yeah, just about.
Yeah,
just
we're
about.
coping.
Yeah.
Bit of nervous energy, but it's good energy.
Well, hopefully you got a ticket to be here with us tomorrow, but if not, you still got a huge part to play. Get behind the boys on social media. Trust me, they see it all, and that can make a massive difference. Hopefully we can keep continuing with the build up to this game and build your excitement. We're going to be looking back at that first leg at the Vitality, looking ahead to the second leg tomorrow, and I spoke to our record-breaking top scorer, IVAN Toney, in the week, and he has highlighted the importance of you guys at tomorrow's game.
I feel like if they think that was noise at Bournemouth ground, they've not heard noise. Wait until they come to our ground and hear our fans, so it'll be exciting times for the players and the fans and everyone at the football club.
Lads, we'll get on to him in a minute. He is up for it tomorrow though, and he's going to be big tomorrow. We'll get into him in a bit. This could potentially be our last show of the season. We've had a bit of fun, haven't we, this year?
We've had a lot of fun. I think it's been a very good one for us as well.
Yeah.
Enjoyed ourselves.
Who would have thought? Start of the season, he was our first guest of the year, and now he's part of the
We've
firm.
roped him in.
I know,
Oh.
I've loved it, to be honest. It's been
Yeah.
nice to be back and obviously doing the show with you two, so it's been good, really good.
It's been a tough year for everyone, so hopefully we could have given a bit of enjoyment and brought you guys at home a little bit closer. I want to say thank you to you both for first putting up with me, and second of all, just for being here every week. And I've really actually learnt a load from you guys, and I've really loved it without getting all too soppy. It's not always gone to plan, has it? There's been a few rickets. Should have a little look back at the best bits and some of the times where it didn't quite go right. Right, let's talk about the football though. Last week, the Eggler. Right, the Eggler. Oh, the Eggler. And my view is of the ambassador Marcus Gale.
He is human. He is mentally and physically strong.
And Brentford women's gaffer Karleigh Osborne over there. Or should I say Bruno Mars? Uptown Funk, go and give it to you.
When I came out, I think it was Blackburn, was at the first game when we had fans. And when I saw the people like smiling and the sound of the applause, I swear I was so close to crying.
I'm good at two things, but it's so false.
Don't just take these guys' words for it though. Hey man.
I was trying to hold that for so long.
COVID!
Right, well that was a little bit of fun. Time to get serious, because it is of course playoff second leg tomorrow. I don't really know where to start, but I think the best place to start could be summarising that first leg and the 90 minutes that happened on the pitch. Marcus, you were there. Get your pundit hat on. You've got it on for us, I see.
Got the pundit hat on.
What did you make of it?
We're still in the tie, obviously. It was only 1-0. We was under a bit of pressure towards the end of that first half. They was really piling on that sort of pressure, bombarding our box. And then obviously the second half, they kind of scored a typical Brentford goal, a counter-attacking goal, and that separated the two sides at this moment. Yes, we missed a big moment with Brian there, but I'm sure that's going to be rectified as a team, and we'll fly back on form tomorrow.
Look, I know we're not an advertising agency, but it was a good advert for Championship football, wasn't it? It was a great game.
No, it was a fantastic game. There was a little bit of everything in it. And you know, as Marcus says, we're in the tie. We're still in the tie, and now it's just about going with real positivity, some real bravery and courage, and attacking Bournemouth.
Marcus, what did we do well?
I think we contained them really well. We defended well in that first half. You know, I did say they had chances. They hit the post with, I think, Solanke going very close. Lima with a volley over the bar and that. So they was piling on the pressure. So I felt that we defended well, kept it very compact, and I think that was vitally important for us going into that match.
What do you think we'd have learnt from the game, Karleigh?
I think they would have learnt a lot. I mean, I think they would have learnt how, you know, what Bournemouth are going to be like in this scenario, obviously from the first leg, and I think they would have learnt more about themselves as well. You know, when the pressure's on, yes, we didn't come away with the win for that game, but the way we defended, the way we kind of rode through the tough times was good, and the togetherness was fantastic, as well as obviously we played some fantastic football and created loads of chances. So it's more of that for the second leg, and it's just about being really positive and having full belief that we can go and get the victory.
You've both been involved in playoff campaigns. After that first leg, will you look at that game in more detail than maybe in a league game? Say we played, I don't know, Bristol City. Would you maybe look at that a little bit? But will they be looking really in depth at that performance on Monday ahead of this one?
I don't think they would go too deep into it. They know what's at hand. They've had the first 90 minutes. They've picked up a lot of information, as you said, Karleigh, and that will help us tomorrow with it of where we can hurt Bournemouth. And we showed that at times. We can definitely hurt them. We showed that in the league match a few weeks ago as well, albeit with 10 men. So Bournemouth, they've got that information in the back of their head that we can score goals against them.
Moments change games. Moments can be the difference in promotion at the moment. Big call was in the first half. Challenge on Tariq Fosu.
Yep.
Pen or no pen?
For me, when you look back at it, it's a pen.
Yeah.
I can understand why it might be difficult for the ref at the time, but for me, it was a pen.
When you say that, do you think that's because it's early in the game? And do you guys think that because it's the first game back with crowd, that could have influenced it a bit?
I think that played a role into it.
Yeah.
For me, I didn't think it was a pen. If it was his standing foot, then yeah. But I think it's the foot that he kicks the ball with. That's not.
But look,
if that was against us, I'll be fuming.
I'm not having a scrap with you on the last show, right?
If you want to, we can take this outside. In fact, we're outside.
But is it not the same as the Rico one at Coventry? Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, they're very similar. Look, for me, like I said,
with him, you?
No, for me, I think it was a pen. I think there was enough force in the kick to unsettle Tariq. So for me, I think it was a pen. But at the moment in time, when you're watching it, it's early in the game. The crowd's back. The ref's thinking if he gets that wrong, it may be more detrimental in terms of how it has if he gets it really wrong, if that makes sense. So he's probably taken the chance on not giving the decision. But ultimately, these things happen in game, and it's just about how we react from that and make sure we don't use that as an excuse in terms of how we move forward.
The ref had to be 100% sure in that moment, and as he's touched on, the crowd that play a part into it. It might have done, but he's got to be 100% sure one way or another. Well, he's gone against it.
It's the same VAR in the playoffs because we're playing for going to the Premier League where they've got VAR, so maybe there's a case for it. That's a bigger debate that we don't need right now. But talking about the crowd, and obviously we're saying that could have had an influence on it. Marcus, you were there. What was the atmosphere like?
It was a party atmosphere beforehand, 2 hours before. Music was great, I would say.
No pressure on me then.
No pressure on you. Come on,
you better get changed. You better get changed in that playlist.
Call DJ LMO out in Australia. He'll sort you out.
That's Lloyd Owusu, by the way.
Lloyd Owusu. But yeah, the atmosphere was vibrant. It was much easier to commentate on as well because you've got the energy of the surrounding fans and stuff. But I think we're gonna eclipse that.
I was going to say, you've had a little taste of that now, so now you're excited
I can't imagine what in there is going to be like, even though it's 4,000 in there.
Yeah. Well, what impact can that have, Karleigh? Because you've played in these big games. How important can everyone in this place tomorrow be?
Oh, massively important. It's like an extra man out on the pitch sometimes, when you're maybe up against it and there's a bit of pressure against you, they drive you through. When you need to find a spark of some sort, again, the fans, that energy can help you find that. So it's going to be massive. And to not have it for so long as well and then have it in this type of game is almost the perfect timing to have it. So for me, it's massive, and I think it will be a real plus for us.
You all can't stop smiling at fans. I'm like a child.
It's been too long.
I know.
It's going to feel in a nicely way a strange feeling having a good amount of fans in the stadium for once, because not like we've gotten used to being empty, but we have in a certain way. But to have the fans, it's like Christmas, even that's May.
Yeah.
The weather's about Christmas anyway.
It'll make it feel more like home, won't it?
Yeah, it's going to feel like home.
To the players, it will make it feel more like home because they've got that crowd behind them, the cheers, all of it that comes with it. It will make it feel a bit more like home, which will be what players will want.
Well, we're bang up for it. Another man who's up for it is IVAN Toney. I spoke to him in the week about record breaking and silencing the doubters. Ivan, it's less than 24 hours since that first leg against Bournemouth. What's the atmosphere been like here today?
It's good. It's obviously we're still thinking positive, even though we're 1-0 down, but it's not over yet. And I think they know that as well, and we definitely know that. So we just can't wait to get the game going.
I was going to say, is it one of those ones where you just want it to be Saturday now? You just want to get the next few days out of the way?
Yeah, it's literally that. it was like that the other day, or yesterday. I just couldn't wait for Monday. Now I can't wait for Saturday. So everyone's excited, I'm excited. I'm sure the fans are excited to be back in the stadium and be behind us, so I just can't wait.
Well, that's it. Obviously, Bournemouth had that home advantage with some of their fans. We're going to have just under 4,500 on Saturday. What impact can the fans have?
Yeah, big impact, and I'm sure they will. They will be the 12th man, like with the saying. I feel like if they think that was noise at Bournemouth ground, they've not heard noise. Wait until they come to our ground and hear our fans. So it'll be exciting times for the players and the fans and everyone at the football club.
Players will say that a lot, oh, the fans can really have an impact, but what do you guys mean when you say that? Because I can't feel it. Like, what can we give you guys on that pitch?
Well, it's an extra push. Like, if the fans are screaming, like, cheering us on, it gives you that extra bit of energy to go and make a tackle, go and make a run or something like this. So it does play a massive part, and it will play a part Saturday.
And some of those fans, it might be their first time at the stadium, and it might be the first time they've seen you. It's not IVAN TONEY anymore, is it? It's IVAN TONEY record breaker, which sounds pretty good. This is the first time I've spoken to you since you broke the record. Mate, how many, like, all those games leading up to the record, were you just thinking about it every match?
I'd like to say I wasn't, but obviously it was at the back of my mind thinking, yeah, get the record, like it would be a big achievement. But I think right now it's not really sunk in how big of an achievement it actually is, because I'm still focused on getting promoted. But on a personal note, it is a massive achievement, but it'll be nothing if we don't get promoted. So I'm trying to be greedy and get the both, and it's achievable. So
we can laugh about this now, right? First couple of games, you had a couple of chances, didn't you?
I think we had a few chances. I missed a few. All the boys thinking, what have we signed here? Wowzers. We got the receipt, what's going on? But yeah, obviously I got the pen at Millwall and I never looked back and just fired on from there.
Is that what it takes, on just getting that first one under your belt and then you just go?
The first one's always the hardest one, wherever you go. Every club I've been to, the first one's always been the hardest one. And every other striker would tell you this. But I think when you get that, you just relax. All right, I got my goal, now I can start. I think you tend to do things you don't normally do. You try too hard to get the goal. But I got it and it's been good.
Absolutely flew. And I loved your tweet after, mate, when you were saying, not bad for tackling Merchant. Does that stuff wind you up though, seriously?
It doesn't, it doesn't. It doesn't, because I got 31 goals on my history books. No one can say nothing. And it does, because it's like, it's a bit cheeky in a way, but it spurs me on to do more, score more tappings, score more penalties. Yeah. So it works both ways.
As a striker, have you ever gone, nah, I'm not having that, it's a tapping, I don't want to score that, do you know what I mean?
I think every striker would say this. Everyone that would say, he only scores tappings or whatever, haters, so.
Yeah. And how, like, we're saying that, have you got a favourite type of goal you like to score though?
I like to score goals when the players or the dugout or someone's trying to give it a bit of stick.
You know, just quiet them.
Yeah, quiet them. The best one I'd say was the Stoke one.
Yeah.
The manager was giving a bit, and I said to him literally a minute before, I'm going to score in a second, be careful, and when I do, I'll come over to you. And then I literally scored a minute or two later, and as you see me, I ran over and stood in front of him. So I think he was too pleased.
And the other thing, obviously, that you said in the tweet was about how everyone throws this penalty thing at you. Do you think because you're a striker, they just expect you to be able to score every single penalty?
I think, yeah, everyone expects strikers to be putting the ball in the back of the net, but penalties are not easy.
Nah, you just need to look at someone like Sergio Roberto, who's one of the best finishers the Premier League's ever seen, hasn't got the best striking record at penalties.
I think in your head you're thinking it's an easy chance of a goal, where it's far from an easy chance. But if you have the right frame of mind and you focus, then you give yourself the best possibility. And
I've seen the amount of work you put into this, and you're out here pretty much every day, aren't you, pressing penalties?
Yeah, I have to get dragged in. Literally from the coaching staff and everyone telling me, listen, you have to come in now. But yeah, I try and practice as much as I can. Obviously the keepers are, I bet they're sick of me as well.
Oh mate,
dragging them
Ben
in
got
goal.
on the other day.
Especially when they haven't saved one in about 15. But yeah, nah, fair play to them. They're out there helping me, and I'm grateful.
This kind of thing, at the moment, everyone's got an opinion on Ivan Toney, isn't there? Like, anytime you play, if it's about your record, it's is he the best striker in the Championship ever seen, or is he better than Pookie, is he better than these? There's always a question, and someone's always talking about you. Does that bother you? Like, we even seen it recently, managers and the press.
I think it's, as a manager, you want your striker to score goals. I've scored the most goals in the league for the strikers. So it speaks for itself. So whoever's saying this person's better than me, that person's better than me, numbers don't lie, so they can check them.
Love that confidence, mate. But do you feel like any pressure with it? Like, the other thing I was going to speak to you about was you found yourself doing a lot of media this year, and a lot of it hasn't been about football stuff. Like, you've had a tough year, haven't you, off the pitch? Do you find sometimes that you're under a bit more pressure to speak about things? And I imagine you have to constantly be thinking what you're saying in the press, because people are kind of looking at you as a spokesperson at times this year. Do you find that tough?
Not really, because with the person I am, I'm a wise guy, and I know what if I want to say something, I'll say it, regardless if it gets a negative reaction or a positive reaction. If I feel something's right and I need to say something and speak up about it, I'll do that, regardless of what reaction I get. And I think that's why I get most of these interviews, and why they want me to come forward, because they know I'll speak my mind and say what I think on certain things. So I don't feel the pressure really. If you think something, then you just got to say it and stick with what you think.
But that's it, and I think there'll be a lot of people that look up to you, because myself, Marcus and Karleigh have said this on the show, of what an incredible footballer you are, and how the way you conduct yourself, and what an incredible mindset you must have this year. And I think you must be an amazing role model to so many people. And that's not just with that stuff, but also recently we've seen with your charity work with St Vincent. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, obviously it's somewhere close to my heart. Obviously my grandparents being from there, they're no longer with us now, so it's like I feel like I have to take on that responsibility to make sure I can do something for the motherland. So it's like trying to do what I can, trying to put it out there, raise awareness, and at the moment it's been going great. So I'm just trying to, I feel like you have a certain responsibility to do, and take it on yourself and do what you can. And I felt like I was in a position to help, and so I'm trying to do the best I can.
For people that might not know, what's the situation in St Vincent at the moment then?
Well, it's a never-ending thing at the moment. The volcano can erupt any minute, so it's just a waiting game really, to make sure everything's settling down. But it can go off any time, like I said. So it's just making sure everyone's okay for the meanwhile, and eating well, washed, things like this, and everyone's safe really is the main thing, and it's going okay.
And where can people find a bit more information if they want to donate money to help you?
Well, it's on my Twitter page, and it'll be on my Instagram page in my bio. Just click on the link and you'll see more information there, and on the GoFundMe.
Amazing. I think on the match day as well, we're going to make sure we've got graphics on the screen, so any fans inside the stadium that see that can also contribute. But appreciate your time, mate.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Nice one.
What a man. Lads, I want to talk about Ivan. We do speak about him a lot, but I want to speak about him in a slightly different way. I maybe didn't articulate this particularly well in that interview when I was chatting to him. He's a really, really remarkable man that's been through a lot this year. Like, we've seen the vile abuse this man has had all season, right? And he's also been thrust into this role as almost a spokesperson on the topic of racism on behalf of the club at times, and not just behalf of the club, but of other players and stuff across the country and around the world. And it's a role that he's taken to, and he even said there, like, I back myself, I say what I want to say, and I feel passionate about these things, but he didn't ask to be pushed into these positions. I know he's done it, and he said he's okay with it, but it's almost like, I imagine that's a lot of extra pressure, do you see what I mean? And that's a tough thing emotionally for this man to go through. Because I even get it sometimes on this show where we'll say something and afterwards I go, is that all right what I said? You know what I mean? I think about how will it be taken, but he's doing this to national media outlets that's going to go across the country. People are looking for headlines from this man because he's the one that's getting all the media requests. He's the one that's being asked every week. But that's because he's been racially abused most of the time, right? So then he's going and saying these things. His profile then gets bigger, and then he gets more abused because he's got a bigger profile, right? He's doing all this on the backdrop of a season that's been really hard on everyone as well, yet he's also top scorer this season. And he's doing selfless things like we've seen him do with St Vincent. And I know people might think I'm going a bit over the top here, but he's an unbelievably remarkable human being, isn't he? To go through all this and still doing what he's done this year, Marcus.
Yeah, remember, look, he's a 25-year-old young man. Well, he's young to me anyway. But he's a 25-year-old young man that just wants to enjoy his football. He's coming to beautiful surroundings at a new club. He's under pressure to score goals. He's ticked that box. He's broken the record. He's ticked that box, and on top of it, he's got to deal with vile abuse on top of it, which attacks his humanity. And that's a hard thing for anyone to go through, no matter what age, but especially when you're thrust into the limelight. I think at times he might need to be taken out of that sort of aspect of it instead of always speaking up, because he's got a job to do. He just wants to go and play his football like anybody else out there.
And if he's been spoken to, talk about his football. Like, obviously, I know that it's important to talk about the things he's talking about, but it's got to a point where it's like every request, I imagine, is a question about people taking the knee or the tweets you've received. And look, I can never ever emotionally relate to that, but I imagine that must be draining and hard, and you have to constantly be thinking, have you not, Karleigh, about what you're saying, and because it can have a lot of impact, that man's words, and it's a lot of pressure to put on a young person.
Yeah, no, definitely. You know, Karleigh touched on it there. He just wants to play football, and he's been unbelievable this year. Top scorer, broken records, and he's had to deal with all the stuff off the pitch. And the thing is, you know, for him, obviously, you know, his profile's growing, which is fantastic. That's what he wants. That's what the club wants. He's proven how good and great a striker he's been, and we spoke about it, haven't we, before? Where, you know, the form that he set and the record he's broke, he is going to be, you know, one of the greatest strikers in Brentford's modern history. And that's what we need to be talking more about. That's what needs to be brought more to the forefront. And yes, we do have to talk about racial issues, of course, but at the moment, it's like the only thing he's heard speaking about is that. And for him as a player and as a human in general, he might want to just come away from that and concentrate on what he wants to do, which is playing his football with a bit of freedom and enjoying it. I think it's unbelievable what he's done with all the pressure he's had this year, the way that he has been with COVID and things like that, and it's been tough for everyone. I think to put the performances he has, to lead the group he has on the pitch as well, amongst other players, and to kind of be the person he's been on and off the pitch, for me, is remarkable and testament to him, because you know, that's a difficult thing to do consistently.
Like, amazing role model, and like, also on the top of this, we've got on the football, right? He scores 31 goals, he still gets the disrespect to tapping merchant and all that rubbish. Like, have a day off. Like, seriously. Someone put some respect on this man's name.
Listen, when you're successful, people always look to try and bring you down. Unfortunately, that's just the way of the world. But you know what he's done? He's answered all the critics. He's proven what he's worth. He's shown how good a player he is and how valuable he is to this club. And he's done that in a season. And for me, that, you know, that takes players seasons upon seasons to try and get that. He's done that in a season, so he deserves all the plaudits for that. And that's what needs to be highlighted for me, because, you know, as a representative of this club, it's a fantastic one to have.
Exactly. And look, he'll be vital tomorrow in this second. And let's talk about the game. We're in the exact same situation we were in last season from the first leg. How much will that be an impact for us, having had that experience last season, Marcus?
We should come into this second half of the tie now in good shape, good form, good spirits. Yes, we are 1-0 down, but I said earlier, we're not out of the tie. We're still very much into it. We're probably better at chasing instead of being ahead and trying to get over the line. I think it suits us to really go for it, and I think that's going to really sort of give us that positive, fast start that we're going to look for tomorrow. And once we get the momentum, I'm sure we're going to do this. So big moment for the boys. there's a healthy pressure with it as well. That's what the players want to play in. They want to play in big matches anyway. So to play in those, you have to handle the pressures well, emotionally and physically. So the boys will do well.
You said there about fast start, right? Gaffer head on. How do you approach this? We're going to get onto who's the easier for to approach, but do you go all out attack early doors? Do you treat it like a normal league game as if it's 0-0? How would you be looking to set up, Karleigh?
For me personally, I would want a fast start. I would want to kind of put Bournemouth on the back foot as quick as I can, as soon as I can. So, you know, I'd make sure the players know that, listen, we're going to give everything we possibly can. Yes, we're going to have to take risks, but if we don't take risks, there's no rewards, as the saying goes. So for me, I'd be very on the front foot, high energy, and like I said, playing the Brentford way with good football, good attacking football, and good energy.
On the flip side, and look, this might come across as clutching at straws here, but is it almost easier for us to set up because we know that we have to score goals here tomorrow? Because if you're Bournemouth, how do you set up? Because surely you can't sit in for 90 minutes, Marcus.
It's very hard. If you set your stall out to defend, you probably end up losing. I think they'll go on a counter-attack, just like how they scored the goal the other night. And I think they'll be suited for that as well. Soak up as much pressure and try and pick us off with their speed up front and movement. But one of the big messages from Thomas is he wants patience. And I know we're at the halfway stage, we've got 90 minutes and the fans want us to really get at them and get down at them. But there's still going to be that aura of patience within the build-up as well, is that we can't just go gun-ho because it's going to leave us open at the back for probably a counter-attack again.
I think when you, like Marcus said there, when you set your stall out to defend, listen, I'm a defender, so whenever we had to sit in and defend, yes, I enjoyed doing it, but it made the game a lot longer, a lot harder, because the team was always, there's waves and waves and waves of attack. So you need to play a bit of chess with it. I don't think Bournemouth are going to come here and just sit. I think they will try and attack. I think they will play counter-attacking football. You know, that's what most teams try and do against Brentford anyway, because of the way Brentford play. But I think the biggest thing for Brentford is the belief in the changing room, the focus, and understanding that, you know, this is a fantastic opportunity, and Brentford like doing things the hard way, so this is the best way to do it.
We do.
This is the Brentford way.
This is the hard way. The hard way.
And look, we talk about gaffers. Has Thomas Frank got a bit of a selection dilemma? I don't know who you go tomorrow, Marcus. Also, if you don't know if Rico and Henrik are back in the fold, maybe. And
it's a tough one in terms of, you know, it could take us more than the 90 minutes to get through. You've got those two players that are coming back. Can they last the extra minutes? So you've got to manage that well. So the manager's got, I don't know, I wouldn't say it's a dilemma.
It's a good dilemma.
You've got fit players to pick.
Yeah.
Now, can you go and get that job done in 90 minutes? You would like to think so, but if it has to go the extra distance, you're still going to need players to finish the game. You might have players that will start the game, but you're definitely going to need players that can finish the game and get us over the line.
So as fans, it's our job to create this huge, massive atmosphere tomorrow, right? Get behind it, make it maybe a bit hostile, just even get behind the boys. Is it your jobs then as players to make sure you keep that fine balance and not get too caught up in it? Because you still got to play a game of football, and I imagine there's a fine line between being too pumped up from the fans and going over the top where it affects your performance, right?
You need the balance, the emotional balance, to match with the physical attributes out there. If you're too pumped up, you might be too tense to perform how you need to. At the same time, you don't want to be way too relaxed, so you don't get in there and start performing.
See, that's it. We can be huge tomorrow. Don't just take these two's word for it. The gaffer, Thomas Frank, he's got a message for you as well.
Dear fans, we need you today massively. This is a game where we need to play and put our best performance in. I ask that from the players. I ask that from myself, the staff, but I also need to ask it from you guys. You need to be behind us in every single duel, every single pass, every single recovery run, every single action. We need you there, because this demands the absolute best from every one of us throughout the game. If it's not positive all the way, keep backing us, because this will go right to the end.
Yes, Thomas, boys, we're back up for it, aren't we? I'll tell you what, listening to the manager say it, gets me up for it. It's going to be a good one, isn't it?
It is. It's going to be a very good game. I'm excited.
And we're going to be here early doors for the pre-match show. We'll be over there. We're looking forward to that as well, boys.
Yeah, pumped up for it. Can't wait.
Yeah, good energy. We've got to kick the energy off, really, haven't we? I suppose with the pre-match.
I thought that was Peter's job.
Yeah, hey.
But
if there's any man that can get the crowd going, it's Peter Gillam. We know that. Well, that's it for this week. This could potentially be our last show of the season, but fingers crossed it isn't, and hopefully we've got one next week. It all comes down to it tomorrow. This is the pinnacle of our season so far. It's going to be a cracker. I can't wait. It's been a tough year, but there's been plenty to be proud of. Get behind the guys tomorrow, wherever you are. Come on, you bees. You Reds.